Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another video. Today, we're talking about the revival of multicolor, which is honestly such a cool thing to see. You know, one of the reasons that Set 12 is one of my favorite formats is because there's this constant innovation within the format. Honestly, week one, it felt really solid with the Mecha, Red Broly, Dark Broly triangle, but ever since then, we've seen like these new decks popping up, older strategies being revisited and doing quite well in the meta. It's such an amazing thing to see. You know, with Set 7, multicolor came out and really ran the game for a while. Then we got Set 10, the Unison Warrior block, and then monocolor kind of took over. But now we're seeing this kind of balance between multicolor and monocolor and different strategies like that. We're going to talk about that in today's video. Guys, if you're new here, definitely subscribe. Hit that bell to miss this video. If you guys want to help support the channel, there are many links down in the description below. Particularly today, if you want to see where my head is at competitively, you want to start competing at some of these more higher level events, check out the Patreon down below. Check out the articles I post there. It really does help the channel out a lot. It'll help you out as well. With that being said, let's get started. So we'll just talk about kind of like the origins of multicolor. Once again, came out in Set 7. So many powerful cards that like really define multicolor. These are some of them right here. There are a few more, like Vegeta the Cruel, right? This is also around the same time that Counterplay became really strong and really popular. And Vegeta the Cruel was just an insane card, but keep in mind that a lot of these cards did have stipulations of using multicolors at this point in Set 7. So just playing Vegeta the Cruel, popping a 4 or less, and making your opponent pitch a battle card. Like a couple sets before this, we got Preemptive Strike, which was a 2 energy green extra card counterplay that negated the play of anything 4 or less. And yeah, Vegeta the Cruel's trade-off was that it didn't actually negate the play. So if your opponent's battle card had like an extra play skill, it would still resolve that skill. But honestly, most of the time, just KOing it and making your opponent lose a card from hand was so worth it. Just like when you look contextually, the battle cards your opponent was playing for 4 or less, those weren't battle cards that had like game breaking, you know, enter play skills, right? And then if you did have those, that was checked by things like Denial of Hope, right? So it made a really interesting dynamic in that sense, but such a powerful card for multicolor. Kaioken Son Goku, Defender of Earth, was an insane boss monster back in the day, and I guess it was more so because of Shenron being able to revive it from the drop area. You didn't actually have to play multicolor in that sense, but a lot of red-green decks did use this card. There were some successful Clash Goku decks. Eventually, Surge Broly used Kaioken Goku to do quite a few things. And then we got Heartfelt Plea, which ironically enough is still seeing play in modern DBS. That's more like in Dark Broly, though. Not really seeing a lot of play in its intended multicolor shell, but who knows, that could even make a resurgence in the next coming weeks or next coming months. So, with that being the case, these are some of the just more iconic multicolor cards that have come out in the past. And these are cards that, you know, could easily be revisited as we get more multicolor support, because we know we're getting more multicolor support in Evolution Booster. So these are some cards that people may want to revisit as we go forward. But anyways, what really brought the entire multicolor thing to a head were these two leaders, Surge Goku and Surge Piccolo. They were so insane at the end of Set 9. They really were the two best decks, just in terms of, you know, Goku being mid-range, Piccolo being much more hand control / normal control. These two leaders really drove multicolor to their peak, and then eventually, come the Set 10 ban list, both of these leaders saw really harsh erratas. Honestly, it probably was warranted. I'm not saying harsh in the sense that they shouldn't have happened, but man, these leaders never saw any competitive success again after those nerfs. Set 10 came around, monocolor was the theme, every single color kind of doing its thing on its own, and for most of Set 10 and 11, we really didn't see decks that experimented with even 2 different colors. It was such a rare thing. Like, the one example I can think of right now is like Skillless Goku did some things in Set 10. Didn't really do much in Set 11, but that was really a black-red deck, where even then, like with Vegex, you had mono black, so you weren't even playing like black splash with other colors like you were previously. Same thing, mono blue is doing really well, mono yellow is doing okay. Blue Yellow Gotenks was a deck here or there. I more so attribute that to the pilots because a lot of really good players played it back then. But realistically, it was just a monocolor format. But now we come to Set 12, and we see Launch, right? Launch really was the pioneer of multicolor come Set 12. And this is actually really cool because I actually just went back on my channel and looked. I did a video on December 9th, and then Set 12 came out, I think, around January 15th or so. I actually did a video calling Launch the next multicolor leader, and I remember talking in that video just saying, like, this leader is very reminiscent of Hercule. You have a lot of really powerful cards that multicolor are able to combo, where monocolor, yeah, some of them you can play, but that's not really the whole design around them, right? And that's one of the main things I mentioned when I talked about the Skillless Gohan deck that I built, which we'll talk about that more later. But the thing when it comes to multicolor versus monocolor it seems like the trade-off is you're trading off powerful counterplays in monocolor because you have like your whole unison and you have your unison counterplay package, and then if you're like in green, for instance, you have Dormant Potential Unleashed, your free counterattack off of your unison. Red, Wolfang Fist, pretty good. Blue and yellow, the blue one's really not that great, but Release from Evil, I suppose, is a pretty good sideboard card. So you're trading in that engine, right? Because a lot of these multicolor decks don't really rely on unisons too much. You're trading in that counterplay ability for more battle interruption, and that's really where multicolor thrives because of Arrival and things like that. Also, you have like Alliance, Aegis, these different keyword skills. They're so battle intensive, they just really work in the battle step that you know, a leader like Launch makes perfect sense for that because she gets rewarded when she combos either with her inherent cards that allow her to flip herself over, but she also gets rewarded when you combo with things like Nappa Demolition Man, the red-green super combo, or Beerus Divine Obliterator, the red-blue super combo. She gets rewarded for that, and I thought it was pretty cool that, like, I guess you could say I called it, that Launch was going to be a really, really good multicolor leader. I never really saw the potential in her monocolor stuff. It just takes a lot of setup, doesn't really do all that much. I think Marcus, too, on his streams, was one of the first people to put Piccolo Jr. Eradicator of Peace in the deck. He was playing a quad color Launch build, so, you know, he didn't have the perfect red-green build, and he was trying to be more spicy than anything. I mean, he did have red-green builds that were very, very good, and then now we look at Launch. It's doing a lot of things with red-green, doing some stuff with tricolor, and she really was the pioneer that brought multicolor back into the format. I did mention, though, Piccolo Jr. Eradicator of Peace. This could quite honestly be the best red-green card at the moment. We're getting some more in Evolution Booster, so we won't talk about how powerful those cards are yet in relation to this. But as it stands right now, this has to be one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful, red-green battle card in the game. You print a card like this, yes, red-green is going to do quite well. But that actually brings me to a point that I really think is cool about this whole, you know, multicolor revival thing, is that the Launch deck doesn't actually aim to charge multicolor. And that's such a unique thing, right? Because back when multicolor came out, we all got these check lands. Every color combination got these check lands that say, if you have the appropriate color energy already charged, charge this, negating energy exhaust. Energy exhaust being the fact that when you charge a card like this, it comes in rest mode, right? And that does slow you down a lot. Back in multicolor format, every deck missed their turn one for the most part, unless you're playing some sort of black deck. So no one really cared. It was fine. But nowadays, even your turn one can be so important that in Launch, for instance, charging a red and then turn two charging a green, playing this allows you to just keep pace of the game so well. It's honestly a really cool thing. But that does introduce an issue that these multicolor decks face, especially when you're talking about Launch. You know, you do play a lot of 10k combos in a deck that can't really do too much with their energy. You know, Launch isn't one of those leaders that awakens and untaps energy, or even untaps one energy and draws a card. She flips and draws. That's it. She doesn't have any energy manipulation. You're still playing anywhere like 8 or more 10k combos in the deck, not even counting extra cards, which in a combo reliant deck can add up. So no, I don't think Launch is perfect, but it's so cool that she was able to bring back multicolor in this sense. It's honestly a really awesome thing. Then I gotta mention Brian Samuel's Red Beerus deck that he took to the Super Players Online event, man. This was the next step, right? Like, this was red-blue in a leader that was meant for red-yellow. Like, it was just such a cool thing. And yeah, he can pitch any red card to draw two, so you can pitch, like, red-blue cards or red-yellow cards, whatever you're playing in the Beerus shell. But it was such a cool thing. It was just using Beerus Divine Obliterator, Cooler, Tyrannical Assault, just really good red-blue cards. And I was just talking before about how, you know, Launch had that issue of not really being able to manipulate energy. Well, Beerus, not that it's perfect, but it does fix that in a lot of ways. It untaps 2 on Awaken. It has red-blue to manipulate energy. So that was another great route to take multicolor in. But again, you're really trading that unison capability. And I think Brian did play Piccolo Jr. Descendant of the King in his build, but you're just trading so much of that unison control for, like, this battle step interruption, which I guess in the Beerus deck you can even call it a hybrid, because he did have Piccolo, which Piccolo on its own interrupts when your opponent counters. You get to pop a battle card, so that's great. I'm sure he played some number of Wolfang Fist and the Yamcha counterplay, and he still got to use the red-blue aspect of multicolor, untapping, playing battle cards in the opponent's turn. Really powerful stuff. And then we come to blue-yellow, one of the more recent developments in the format. I do gotta say, before we get to the Kid Gohan stuff, Mecha Frieza, I think there are 2 instances where Mecha Frieza topped with Violent Rush Bojack in the main. I know one for a fact was Jordan Markle's top 4 list. That's here on the channel. but I think I remember seeing it one more time before that. And I think it's a really cool thing because Mecha is pretty energy intensive, which is actually kind of weird because you think, you know, the leader uses life to use things. Why would it be energy intensive? Well, you're going to be in a lot of situations where you don't want to use life, especially against more aggressive decks or decks that can put on a lot of attacks really fast, maybe on like turn 3, turn 4. So having Bojack to untap your energy is a really solid thing, so you can get more extra cards, more negates, more counterplays, things like that. You can use more of them without taking your life. But Mecha Frieza, the standard thing I've been seeing is just 4 Violent Rush Bojack and 4 Zamasu super combo. Not super reliant on the Aegis. But then we have Kid Gohan. I took this deck. It really was just a brainchild of mine. I took Violent Rush Bojack. I just wanted this thing to work. I was trying Blue Yellow Gotenks. Wasn't really getting the job done because it wasn't drawing enough cards. I thought the Untapped 2 was going to be highly relevant, but then I came over to Kid Gohan and it really fixed the deck's problems because with Aegis, you have that, you know, inherent way to untap energy, plus your blue, so you have beat and things like that. But Aegis really helps fix the problem. So being a draw 2 unawakened leader, as well as a leader who can draw on the unawakened and awakened side, the turn that you do awaken, is such a big thing for the deck. Like, and that was the main reason I even wanted to experiment with Blue Yellow. I thought if you could just find a leader that draws enough cards. I thought Gotenks at first because a lot of decks in the format do use extra cards, but really the main ones are Mecha Frieza and to a degree Dark Broly when they use their red Parasitic Dragon Ball, but it wasn't enough. But Kid Gohan really fixed that problem, and he draws so many cards that I thought Aegis really could just, you know, make the deck insane, and I kind of think I was right in that regard. One other thing you could look at for Blue Yellow, of course, and this actually will be more for Mecha, so this kind of fixes that issue I had with Mecha where you're not playing enough Blue Yellow targets for Aegis. You have Sorel and Hop, Fiends of Universe 9. This is one of those random one-of cards coming out Evo Booster that I don't think there's too much U9 stuff. I guess there is another dog card, but we'll talk about that in another video. But anyways, this card says Energy Exhaust, Blocker, Permanent. If you have a U9 card in play, negate this card's Energy Exhaust in all areas. Very easy for Mecha to meet this requirement, so that's great. Auto, when this card activates its blocker skill, your opponent either chooses one of their cards and switches to rest mode. If they don't, draw one card. So your opponent's basically in a damned if I do, damned if I don't scenario. This is playable off Universe 9 Assemble. Again, another target for Bojack to use Aegis, so that can definitely be solid for Mecha Frieza. But this kind of just brings it all back around. You know, I talked about some of the issues with Launch. Again, I think Launch is a great deck. But I think if you're looking at multicolor right now, you really want to be looking at the blue combinations of cards. That's Blue Yellow, Blue Green, and Blue Red. Blue Green, I don't know if that really can be anything too great in this format. I think with Evo Booster, Blue Green is going to be absolutely insane. But we're still looking at just like the set 12 format. I don't think Blue Green has the tools it needs to really compete where Blue Red and Blue Yellow can. But Blue just fixes some of those inherent issues with multicolor. And like I said before, it's such a battle step combo intensive scheme that you're also playing a lot of 10k combos in. So having Bean to fix that issue is just such a big boon to those multicolor strategies that unfortunately, you know, things like green yellow and red yellow and other color combinations that don't include blue, they unfortunately just don't have. Again, Launch with red green, it works out, but I really think Piccolo Jr. Eradicator of Peace is one of the main cards that carries that deck. Green yellow, red yellow, I don't know. It's tough again because I just think that missing out on blue to manipulate energy is such a negative thing that these decks have going for them. I still think Beerus No Holds Barred is an amazing red yellow card. I still think Broly All Out Assault is an amazing green yellow card, but maybe it's just the cards around them that don't, you know, support them well enough. And again, I think, you know, being a clunky thing like they are with 10k combos, a lot of 10k combos in the deck, I think that will hold them back. But honestly, I mean, you take the Launch approach, you play some sort of strategy that doesn't actually aim to charge red yellows or green yellows, that might be your formula for success. Like maybe a turn 1 charge red, turn 2 charge yellow, then you have your Beerus No Holds Barred available. That could be a way to go about it. So hopefully giving you guys some ideas there and some different decks to try out. But anyway, guys, that's going to be today's video. I do hope you enjoyed it. Just a cool little discussion about how we've gotten back to multicolor in Dragon Ball Super. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment down below. I'll see you next time.